Hello and welcome to the MyClayCo studio. Today we are going to be making air dry clay trinket dishes and bowls. Air dry clay is a wonderful medium used by adults, kids, as well as professional clay artists. The wonderful thing about it is that you don't need any kind of special oven or kiln to cure it. You just pop it out in the air and it dries hard. So I'm going to be showing you 3 different air dry clay dishes and bowls today, all incorporating different techniques. Let's get into it. First up, we're going to have a look at the supplies that you need, and the great thing is that you don't need much. So I have here our air dry clay. We're going to be using Das air dry clay today. This has to be one of our favorites. It's really nice and smooth to work with, and it's not prone to cracking like some other air dry clays are. The other things that you'll need are a surface to work on. So I have just a cutting mat here. You can use other things though, like a tile, you can use a block of wood, or another really accessible option is just some baking paper on your surface. I also have a few tools here, so you don't need much at all. I've got my roller. You can use an acrylic roller, or a lot of air dry clay artists like to use wooden rollers. You can even use a wooden roller that you would use for, say, baking. And the other tool that I've got here is a scalpel tool. Again, you can raid your kitchen and you can find a knife to use. Otherwise, if you do have a craft knife, you can use that as well. One thing I will say, if you are using tools from your kitchen, make sure you keep them in your crafting arsenal. Don't use them back in the kitchen again. Now, the other things that I do have here, because we are going to be making trinket dishes and bowls, I actually have a couple of bowls here of different shapes so that we can actually use them to help form some of our bowls that we're going to make. I also have a couple of textures and cutters. These are not necessary, but if you do have them handy, you can utilize them. Now, the other thing I have here is a little bowl of water. I'm going to be using this for smoothing down the edges and smoothing out our clay. Now, I do also have some acrylic paints here. This is optional, so you can leave your trinket dishes or bowls as they are, or alternatively, you can decorate them with acrylic paints. And the last thing I have here is a sealant. So we highly recommend sealing your trinket dishes or bowls. With air dry clay, it is great to pop a sealer on there. It just means that they're going to be water resistant. All right, let's get into the making. Okay, so I have our air dry clay here and we're just going to open this up. Now, one really important thing with air dry clay is that as soon as you've grabbed off the bit that you are going to be using, you really want to wrap it straight back up again and make sure that it's sealed airtight. So this Das clay does actually have a little sticker on here so that you can seal it up. We actually keep ours in a little airtight bucket. So as you can see here, we've got a little bit of scrap here and it is still nice and moist and squishy. If you were to leave it out in the air, it will dry hard. So just make sure that you do seal it up straight away. I'm just going to open this up, cut off a chunk here. Pop it in our bucket. So the first thing that we're going to do is just condition our clay. Now it already is quite workable, but you really want to make sure if there are any pieces that have separated that they're all combined and the piece of clay is all working together. So the first dish that I'm going to be making today is going to be more of an organic hand molded kind of dish. And all that we're going to do is grab our ruler and we're going to roll out our clay here. I normally aim to get my clay for these dishes and bowls at around 5 to 6 millimeters thick. Now we're going to be using this bowl for our first dish today. You do have 2 options. You can dry it inside the bowl if you want to get that nice, really rounded shape, or alternatively, you can turn it over and you can actually put your clay around the bottom side and use it more as a form. So that is actually the option that I'm going to do for this first one. But I am going to actually use this bowl to get a bit of a circle shape. Now, you can do this completely freehand. I am just going to trace around this bowl though so I can get a bit of a nice circle shape. And I'm now just going to grab my scalpel or my knife, and I'm just going to run this around here. Peel up our bowl. And we have our beautiful circle shape. Now, as I mentioned, any offcuts of the clay that you have, you just want to pop it in your container straight away. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is just peel up our clay. And I just want to use my water just to run around the rim here so that we can get a nice clean edge. You can, after you've finished your bowl, you can actually sand them to get a really nice smooth finish, which is something that I like to do. But I do find that just smoothing down the edges like this, it just means that you have less finishing work, which is always a good thing. Okay, so all we are going to do now is just grab our bowl, and as I mentioned, I'm actually going to be using the bottom side of this as the form for this bowl. And all I'm going to do is try my best to actually find the middle of the bowl. And I will just run my finger around here so that we can get a nice base. And then you do have the option, you can, I guess, smooth it into more of a circle shape, but I actually want to create a kind of ruffled effect with this one. So I'm just going to use, I've got my scalpel tool here again, and I'm just going to use this to help us get these nice defined ruffles in the bowl. All right, and there is our bowl all done. So we are now going to leave that and let it dry. So the next dish that I'm going to show you, we are actually going to be using this little bowl to form it in, and we're going to put it actually on the inside of the bowl. Now, with any of these, you may see that some people put Glad wrap in there, or they might put a sheet of baking paper in there. You can most certainly do that if you are worried that it is going to potentially stick. I actually don't normally put anything in them or on the outside of them, just because I don't generally have issues with them sticking, but you can certainly do that if you're concerned about it. So let us get out some more of our clay here. Now all I'm going to do, same process again, I am just going to roll this clay out, and I'm actually going to show you a little trick so that you can get an even thickness on your dishes. So I actually just have these 2 ceramic tiles, and I'm going to actually use them as depth guides for my clay. You might actually have depth guides that you can use, but really you can just see what you've got lying around the home. I know a lot of people use pop sticks for this. We're actually going to be using this beautiful texture mat here by Coral Cockatoo. If you do want to use a texture, you can have a look and see what you've got in your craft cupboard if you do use it for other crafts, or you can just have a look around your home and see if there's any kind of materials or things that you have that might have a beautiful pattern in them. So let's have a look and see. I think we might need to just roll this slightly thinner. And I'm then just going to roll it onto our clay. And when we pull this up, we should have a beautiful textured pattern on there. Looks amazing. Now, I do have the matching cutter for this texture mat here, but you can just use any kind of circle shape, or if you have some other cutters handy, you can use them. All right, and then we can just grab our clay from around the edge here. Now, I am going to use a little trick. So this actually comes from my roots as a polymer clay artist, and I'm actually going to just use this blade to get it off of my work surface. You can just peel it up to get it up off of your work surface, but I guess this is a way that you can do it with making sure that you don't actually distort the clay. Tidy up these edges a little bit. Look at that beautiful design there. All right, so as I said, we're going to be using this bowl as our form, and I am just going to place this in here. Hopefully I've got that in the middle. Push that down, and that is going to give us that nice bowl shape. There we are. All right, and now it is time for us to let this one dry as well. Okay, so we are on to our third and final dish that I'm going to show you today. So again, we're just going to roll out our clay. And for this last one, I'm actually going to be using this cutter here. So, and it's really just to show you that you can use things like cookie cutters, or in our case, polymer clay cutters, so that you can get some really cute, pretty shapes. Now, if I am using a cutter like this, I do normally roll my clay a little bit thinner than I ordinarily would. It's probably, I would say, maybe around like 4 millimeters thick, just because we do have this imprint here. And if you do roll it too thick, you may find that it actually gets stuck in there. So all I'm going to do is just press this into the clay here. And we have this cute little lily pad shape here. Now again, I'm going to pop my excess into my little tub. And what I actually want to do with this one, I'm actually going to be pressing the clay in, because I actually just want to create a rim around the edge here. So rather than being an actual bowl shape, this is going to be a flatter style dish, just with a rim that we're going to build up. And a beautiful lily pad little trinket dish here is all done and ready again to be dried. Our beautiful trinket dishes and bowls are all made, and now it's time for us to be patient and let them dry for a couple of days. What I normally do is allow them to dry on their form for 24 hours. I'll then actually turn out the clay so that it can dry on the other side. Once they're all dry, we can just pop our sealant on there, or if we did want to decorate them, we can decorate them with our acrylic paint and then seal them afterwards. I hope you've loved our video today and it's given you some inspiration for those trinket dishes and bowls that you can create. I'll be popping all the details of the clay and tools that we used today in the video description. If you do have any other questions or comments though, we'd love to hear from you. Please drop them in the comments below. If you have enjoyed our video, we would love you to like and subscribe so we can keep creating these tutorials for you. See you next time.